everyone. Thank you so much for sticking around. We've got some very special guests with us today. We've got Programme Two. This was such a powerful piece. I really personally found that it was stunning with striking mise-en-scene, and I personally really hope that everyone gets a chance to see it. And you were just saying that this is your directorial debut.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Correct.
And you work as a cinematographer, so someone who plays with light and color and shadow. It was beautiful.
Thank you.
So, Andy, I saw that you co-wrote this. And you obviously directed it. But how did you and your creative collaborators come to this particular expression for the film involving spoken word?
Sort of, the idea came about after the George Floyd events. I woke up one morning and I wanted to do something different, something that I could give to the world, and it wasn't another piece of news. Or it wasn't like the little black square that everybody was putting on Instagram and on their social media. So in saying so, I started researching what is the color black. I'm half black myself, so for me it was really important to know what is the color black and not the color black in terms of skin color. Mm-hmm. From there, I came to find out that in fact, black is not a color. It's a shade in the same category as white and gray. Mm-hmm. So I thought, well, that's kind of like humans. We're all in the same category. So why are we all racist? Or why are some people racist? So using the concepts of sort of the color theory, the historical references, philosophy, and sort of the elegant, powerful images that you see of black, white objects, and men and women and children. With the spoken word, we decided to make a script that kind of came about all the articles that I was reading. Mm-hmm. So I started kind of puzzling things together. I read a word here or a sentence there, and we sort of broke it down. And after I had sort of the foundation of the script, I contacted Rekia Bernard, who's an amazing, actress, now director, as well as writer, who I said, Rekia, you're 100% black and I need your power. So she came on board to help me sort of making sure that we weren't aligning ourselves incorrectly with what we were trying to say. And then I positioned myself with my stepdad, who is John Mather, and he's got about 35 years of linguistics as he's an English teacher. So him and I sat down after Rekia and I kind of put this together and said, how can I best display this script? What should go first? What should go next? And through the process of the three of us, we came out with the spoken word, which was delivered by Caitlin, which is one of the actresses. Oh. And my references were all, I was digging through spoken word, down south in I looked at places like Texas. I looked places at, Illinois, any of those kind of places, and just researching black, powerful spoken words. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of what came about. It was more the delivery of like a Malcolm X or a Fidel Castro, something like that in the 1960s.
Yeah, Caitlin Stryker, I believe her name is. Mm-hmm. Oh my God, her voice had such presence. And I did a little bit of research. I see that you play the drums.
I know. Yeah. Wow, you're good.
So the rhythm, I wonder if, with Caitlin's powerful voice and the rhythm that was accompanying these beautiful images, was that a part of your feel for like vibration and beat? Did that come into your creating the kind of sound for this piece?
Right. So I've been a drummer for many, many years. I played in tons of bands. I don't now because of, the career kind of took over the fun stuff. But I always loved African drumming. I've played the djembe for a long time and actual drums. And I started kind of researching just African drumming and really powerful drums. And I reached out to Farshad, who's actually plays for a band called Dirty Radio, a good friend of mine. And I sort of sent him a couple of pieces of what I was aligning myself with. And he's an incredible drummer. I mean, he plays almost everything in terms of when it comes to percussion. And so him and I work closely together to put that underlaying tone of the music together.
Well, it came together beautifully. So thank you so much for your offering. And I just have another question for you. I see you were mentioning you have quite a wide and varied career and you wear quite a few hats. What's next for you? What are you excited about and what are you playing with at the moment?
I'd probably sit here for like 2 hours, but I'm actually, I'll give it a quick spiel. I'm actually just put together the next concept for my next Black Lives Matter film, and it's going to be a trilogy. I'm also working closely with Jesse Anthony, who we have done a feature film called Brother I Cry. I work closely with the Native community to make Native films, and we're working on a historical piece about a Native runner who won the Boston Marathon in 1908. And I'm also putting together a movie out of Japan with the hikikomori, which is isolation and people staying within their apartments and then dying alone. So I got a bunch of projects that I'm putting together.
You're quite busy. Thank you so much for your time, Andy. It's been wonderful to connect with you and hold the space. And I really hope that everyone gets an opportunity to see your film. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Xena.
My pleasure. So this was such an adventure, this film. It came about with, obviously with little dialogue, and it wasn't a traditional structure, and it truly wasn't needed. I really went with the character's state of mind with this, and I just want to say, for your first performance, bravo, and thank you so much for taking me into that world. Well, everyone were taking us into that world with you. I really read everything here. What was the inspiration behind this film, if you're privy to that? And
yeah, it's I know David, the director, for I've met him when we were 15 years old, I think. So yeah, and I knew him for a long part in my life. So the inspiration is three things. So the first part is it's my real life. So the fiction in the movie is really the line between the fiction and the reality in the movie is really thin. So I'm a musician. The guy in the movie is a musician. I'm a software engineer. It's not really mentioned, but the guy was a software engineer. So it's my house, my clothes, my car. So it's kind of very, very really near of my life, but it's not my life. It's still fictional. And the story is about something that happened to David. So David was at the bar and he heard some noise upstairs and he went up and it was the wrestling match. So the scene when I go from the bar to the wrestling scene, it's really something that happened to David, and he wanted to create fiction around that moment. So he took my life, his story, and the song Found Me from Men I Trust, which is about founding yourself. So everything clicked and he put everything together, and it just ended up that movie,
It just worked. And how is it working with your friend creatively in this kind of professional environment?
It was really funny, actually. It was a passion movie, so everybody on the set were really nice. So the vibe was super cool. It was just hanging out with friends and having fun. So I was always joking with David everywhere because I'm his friend first. So it was kind of easy. But when it was time to listen to directive, because since I'm not a professional actor and it was the first time I was doing it, I was really open to any tips, any suggestion or stuff. So I think our chemistry was really good, so it went super well. It was really nice.
Oh, amazing. And what's going on for you now creatively? Are there things that you're working on or things that are occupying your time? Are you thinking about doing some more acting perhaps?
Yeah, so like I said, I'm a musician, so I play a lot of music. I'm looking forward to play more music in the next couple of days, next couple of weeks, to record some stuff. And I had a child 6 weeks ago, so
congratulations!
with my newborn son. And yes, if there's any other project, I'm not running for project, I'm not looking everywhere, but I'm really open for anything because I had a blast doing that movie. So yeah.
Oh, it was beautiful work. So again, thank
Thanks.
you. And it was
Thank
a
you.
pleasure speaking with you, Michelle, and congratulations again on your child. Hello. Hi. Hello again.
Hi.
How are we doing today?
Good.
Pretty good.
Amazing. So, this was such an interesting film. And I really enjoyed going into the child's perspective of this. It was honestly such an experience. I just wonder what King, what attracted you to this project?
Yeah, I mean, like, I'm personally, like, as a producer, my goal is to tell stories on a different point of view. And this one, when I met Paul back in film school. And a couple years later, we talked about this film, and he pitched the film, and yeah, it struck to me because it's about kids' mental health, especially myself. My father, my dad passed away when I was growing up. So having that, even though this film involves about the divorce process and how it strikes on the kids' mental health growing up, for me it has the same feeling. Like, I want to show my mom that I want you to be happy, but sometimes is it me that caused the problem? And for a lot of kids, like foster kids, or like someone in the like orphan kids, like, for themselves growing up, like, is this my fault? Is this my fault? So that's how it came to me, and I really like to, like, the magic realism of the film, and not just be like on the nose, like a drama about about crying kids. So yeah.
Oh, I loved that perspective, right? Because often we look at how the parents feel in that situation, and the child's perception is almost secondary. So we really went in that with you. And I just want to ask, Azriel, you were saying your favorite scene was with the balloons. How did you get to feeling of this character? What did you do to get into character? Do you remember?
It was very fun, I would say, and how I got into the character was I was playing, and I think my character was really happy in the moment.
Yeah, well, I definitely felt that, Azrael. You transcended me. It was beautiful, and I really appreciate your performance. And what's next creatively for both of you? What's going on? Just quickly.
Azrael? What are you doing right now?
Are you on set?
I would say in 2 days I will be casting a TV show, and in February I will be casting another short, I think. Yeah, another short.
You're
so I'm
busy.
quite busy.
Well, thank you. Yeah. I'm so excited for your career.
So working
Thank you.
Yeah, for me, I'm currently just like working and here at home as a visual effects coordinator. But at the same time, I'm a producer director. So I'm working on my next film, hopefully a feature film, and it's a queer drag film. Just because like drag is in a high in film right now, and queer is on the edge. I want to tell, as a queer person of color, I want to tell the story as well.
Oh, thank you. I look forward to seeing that.
Yeah.
Well, thank you both so much. It's been a pleasure connecting with you.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
How are you doing?
Oh, I'm just inspired by everybody before me. I'm like,
I know.
I'm just
Oh my
like,
God, Azrael, right?
Yeah, I'm just gonna cast. I'm gonna cast a couple shows in this, and I'm like,
I love it.
I'm just gonna put the smoothie. I'm gonna put my smoothie into my fridge. He's casting a show. I'm just gonna make smoothies.
Oh gosh, oh, it's so good. I love it. I love the passion. But on to you and with Asal. So what I read that this was obviously inspired by actual events, this short film.
Yeah. I had no idea what I was going to get into at the very beginning of it. And then once Sepideh and I sat down and we talked about what the inspiration was, there's a girl named Mohede Hojabri, and she's a girl in Iran, teenage girl, you know, like teenagers want to be a part of the world, want to be a part of social media, Instagram, you know, all now it's TikTok or whatever's happening. And she thought it would be okay to dance at home, right? Because culture and religion is a separate conversation. And after the revolution, the religion part banned everybody from dancing. So it's not kind of like, a lot of people, when I explain this, a lot of people are like, so it's like Footloose. And I'm like, it's not like Footloose. It's real events of a girl who danced in her bedroom, put it on YouTube thinking she's safe, and was arrested. And before she got to the next stage of what happens after you're being arrested, she fled the country. Herself she's safe in Turkey. But
Wow.
Sepideh's vision was, instead of talking about Turkey, because we just said it in more like in Canada. So it's inspired by her. And we talked to a couple of people, myself included, Sepideh included. We're all immigrants. We're all refugees. Some of us have been relocated. And a lot of people might not have the same storyline of dancing in the bedroom, but they know what it feels like to leave home and to never be able to go back.
Yeah. I feel like a place of belonging, but also self-expression, and allowing yourself in space as well.
Yeah, it's like dance is such a universal language, but to belong and to belong in back to your culture, you know, the feeling of being hugged by your mom, and not being able to do that.
Yeah. It's I wonder, with the intensity of, you know, the background of this story and Sepideh's vision, how did you prepare for this character? It was a physical role. How did you work with that, knowing it's based on a real person?
Well, like I said, I had no idea what I was getting myself into, because the first thing was the audition was just show me if you can dance. Like she said, just there's no lines. I was like, great, this is gonna be, you know, one of those avant-garde, let's just showcase what we can do. And then the next day, it felt like the next day, she's like, here's 10 pages of this big storyline, big background, huge meaning. And I was like, oh my God. So learning about Mahadeh, and learning about Sepideh, and learning about myself included, my mom, myself, and I talked to Sepideh a little bit, and we even worked on the draft. So she wrote it and directed it, and we talked about the draft, and I said, we can bring our culture, our Persian heritage, and crack it open. And it was in a physical way, with dance, traditional Persian dancing, mixed with movement, mixed with today's world of contemporary dance and what that means. And then my favorite part of the whole thing is the monologue from Neja, who plays the mom.
Yeah.
And she does a wonderful job. If you listen carefully about the monologue, it's about creating a life on water, because there's no roots. You're not a tree. You don't come from a long lineage of, you know, father, mother, grandpa. There's no community around you. So if you can be a lily in a lily pad on water, and you're constantly drifting, and make it to this point, you've succeeded. Like, it's part of your success.
It's beautiful. I was going to say as well, you gave a beautiful performance. There was this one scene for me in particular where you were really embodying emotion, memory, and movement. And it's, you know, it was just beautiful. And I just wonder what you learned about yourself as an actor in this role. In a short form, or from this production, you know, how your craft kind of moved and what you learnt.
Oh, that's such a good question. That is such a good question. I think I know what scene you're talking about. And I believe it was just that white noise of space to allow historical, like your ancestors and people behind you speaking through you. I myself am a nomadic. I'm a nomadic tribes person. Like I come from a lineage of nomads.
Yeah.
And so when I hear stories of history and what people are fighting for and what people are still fighting for, and just to let that unleash through movement and just let the camera roll. And I think Sepideh just wanted to just capture what isn't said. Because I'm going to get emotional. Oh my gosh. Because it's very difficult to explain something that should be a feature film, but it's like in a snippet. So
Well, we felt that intensity in that as well. Like what could have been a feature film right in there as a short. It was really beautiful. And thank you so much for your offering and your performance.
Thank you.
I just want to ask you quickly before I move on, what's going on for you creatively now? Like what's happening? How are you creatively staying inspired during COVID?
So I know Sepideh's crazy busy. She's working on something. She's working on her documentary. She's got other projects on the line. Her and I we're going to collaborate again and do something probably later this year. I myself, during quarantine, came up with a drag persona, which is inspiring a pilot that I'm writing, and connecting with individuals who are gung-ho. There's another short that I'm also a part of, which is The Quieting, and being a part of that storyline. And that process with Ali Liebert has been a great learning process. So there's a couple things here and there, and
yeah,
and just open. I'm just trying to be open, and people want to jump on, and let's just do it, because we're all trying to do the same thing, right? In different rhythms, noise, music. Yeah, so
amazing. Yeah. Thank you so much for your time, Danya.
Thanks, Anna.
Go well. We'll talk soon. Wow. So you wrote, you starred, and you produced this, right?
Yes.
Yes. Getting the facts out. I just want to ask you, how did you find Aerlan? How did you get your script to him for him to direct?
Yes, the origin stories. I directed a film about 3 years ago and was trying to find someone for color correction. And everyone was like, why don't you use Aerlan? Assuming that we knew each other. And it's weird. We had kind of crossed paths throughout both our careers for about 10 years. Well, at that point, 7 years before I was like, I actually don't know him. And they're like, oh, he's so sweet. You should reach out to him. So I reached out to him. He colored my film. And then while we were waiting for it to sort of export, we went for pizza and just sort of like talked and realized we had a lot in common.
Yeah.
And, I mean, we're born 2 days apart. Our names sound the same, which was hysterical on set because people would say our name and we would both answer. And they'd be like, no, it's the other one. So we just really connected. And then over our friendship, I sort of had this idea and he... because I was pitching some other story to him and he was like, I mean, it's okay, but like, what else do you got? And so I pitched him this and he was like, this is your story. Like this is something I think your soul is sort of etching to say. So you should go for it. So.
Oh, wow. Kind of just aligned, didn't it? Which is really cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can I ask you, creatively, how was it, you wrote this script, you said that it was personal to you. How was it then putting it in the hands to be directed by someone else? How was that situation on set? Were you collaborative in the end result, or did you let him have free reign as the director, or how did that kind of go?
Yeah, it was a tough sort of thing to sort of figure out where would it all lie, because I've worked with him and he's been a director on a short film we actually did in the interim. Called Hello Yesterday that is being ready to be released. So I knew I saw him the first time I ever met him sort of was at his grad showcase like 6 or 7 years previous. So I knew I liked him as a director and as an actor working with him, I knew he was great. And I thought, given the subject matter, there was talk of why aren't you asking a female director? And I just knew it was going to be personal and cathartic and very close to me, and I just trusted him. And I also think that violence against women is a men's issue. So I thought, how great could it be if we worked together? And he was very much from day one that the vision should be collaborative in the sense that it has the male and female gaze. If we're talking about, you know, not in sort of like a gendered way, but in the way that cinema has kind of been, and, you know, hopefully moving forward, we're going to get, you know, they, them viewpoints as well. So
Absolutely.
But that was kind of our thing. And so there are a few scenes on set that there was one scene in particular we butted heads about. I was like, no, it has to be this way. And he's like, are you sure? And we ended up doing it both ways. And then we were like, oh yeah, okay, it's somewhere in the middle. So
I love that. Yeah, because it is a collaborative endeavor making film, and I just wondered how, as the writer, and this being again personal, how you offered that up. I have another question for you. How does where you live affect what you make? Because you were saying you've directed before, and I know you're writing as well. So how does the landscape of Vancouver affect that for you?
That's a great question. I mean, my first film took place in sort of like the beautiful sort of supernatural forests that BC just inherently has. It has that quality of something very ancient roams here. It's like the only way I can really describe it. And then obviously, I moved here when I was 18, and so and I'm 30 now. So I've kind of I do feel like your 20s are like your first sort of, it's like your teenage years again, except you're an adult and you don't have parental supervision. So it's sort of like so much has happened to me here that to sort of do a film about a personal experience, and unfortunately coming to find an experience of many people, just felt apt and was very cathartic for me. I think I moved through a lot of stuff by doing this film.
Wow. Oh, I'm so glad to hear that this process for you was able to shift and move things for you. And I'm interested in what you're pursuing creatively next. What's going on for you? What are you playing with?
Yes, I am in the beginning stages of the development of a TV show about the divine feminine and the sort of journey in which through women are reclaiming that. And I think also men are starting to dive into their divine feminine, because it exists in all, and those qualities aren't inherently gendered. They're just, those are the names that they have. They're just certain qualities that I think all of humanity possesses, and we've for too long lived one side or the other, and I think live in a world and a system that is incredibly dysfunctional because of that, and you know, systemic racism and everything. So it's exciting that that I'm working on something that's sort of in line with what I'm doing. Everyone's like, oh, you found your niche, and I'm like, I guess I have. I suppose I have.
Oh, that's wonderful. I just want to thank you so much for your time and your offering in film as well. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure to talk with you.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you, Vancouver Short Film Festival, please.
Yeah.
Well, guys, that brings us to the end. I had way too much fun talking with all your Programme Two filmmakers. Let's give them all like a big virtual clap. And I hope that you enjoyed your films. Thank you so much for joining us, everyone. It's been an absolute pleasure and a privilege to hold the space for you.
Merci.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.